Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my new video. Today's video I'm going to be talking about China's thorium nuclear reactor. It's the world's first nuclear reactor. It's a huge technological advancement and they're going to activate it in September, which is really good news. I'm also going to be talking about China's nuclear weapons, where we are at the moment, and what my thoughts are regarding the Chinese nuclear weapons. So today's topic's mainly going to be about Chinese nuclear stuff. And before I start, I just want to request you guys to quickly check your subscriptions, make sure you're still subscribed, and also YouTube tends to delete a lot of my subscriptions and a lot of my comments, so make sure when you do put a comment on, just check your comment is still there, just refresh it or make sure your comment is still there. As again, guys, let's hit that 10k. Once I can get 10k subscribers, I can start doing live chats. So I will do regular live chats and I can interact with you a lot more. So let's get that 10k quick as possible. Also, guys, if you want to support me for what I'm doing and support this channel, please consider joining my Patreon, and also please consider buying me a coffee if you really like this video. Thank you, and let's get on with the show. So another great technological advancement by China. They're building the world's first thorium reactor and they're due to activate it in September. So quick history about thorium. Basically, thorium is found more in abundance on Earth than uranium. So it's easier to get hold of thorium, and also it creates less pollution, it creates less waste, and also it doesn't create nuclear weapons like plutonium and uranium does. So thorium was actually investigated and researched by the USA and Russia way back in the 50s and 60s. Unfortunately, both the countries stopped researching it because at the time Russia and USA was on Cold War, so they needed nuclear weapons. So with thorium, you can't really produce nuclear weapons. It's completely clean energy. So both Russia and USA stopped researching it because they wanted something that you can create weapons with, unfortunately. So the world didn't really take it much further than that. So let's look at this article, shall we? So Chinese scientists have unveiled plans for the first of its kind experimental nuclear reactor that does not need water for cooling. So the good news is a lot of nuclear reactors, they're near waters, like for example the Fukushima disaster was a nuclear power plant near the sea. So obviously you know what's happened with the Fukushima plant, and the good thing is it's much more safer because it does not require to be anywhere near water. So China is planning to create these in the desert areas. So you can see here, the location of the first commercial reactor slated for construction by 2030 will be in the desert city of Wuwei, and the Chinese government has plans to build more across the sparsely populated deserts and plains of western China, which is good news really, because China's got a lot of deserts. So if China can build a lot of these nuclear thorium reactors in the desert, basically it means it's a good use for the desert rather than just wasting it with sand, really. You can see also the prototype molten salt reactor, which runs on liquid thorium rather than uranium, is expected to be safer than traditional reactors because the thorium cools and solidifies quickly when exposed to the air, meaning any potential leak would spill much less radiation into the surrounding environment compared to leaks with the traditional reactors. So you can see it's very much safer than your traditional reactors. And also you can see here, going out with nuclear power has already become a state strategy, and the nuclear exports will help optimize the export trade and free up domestic high-end manufacturing capacity. So what this means is basically China uses a lot of fossil fuels, and obviously is still using a lot of coal at the moment. So the quicker you use these nuclear power plants and safer they are, the more quickly they can get off fossil fuels. And also, if China has become the first country to produce thorium reactors, they can export these thorium reactors to other countries as part of the BRI as well. So it'll be good news for the BRI countries. So you can see here, up to 30 countries involved in China's Belt and Road Initiative, global investment program that will see China invest in the infrastructure of 70 countries. China's government officials view nuclear energy exports to be a key part of the Belt and Road program. So it's a technology they can send to a lot of these Belt and Road program countries, and it's a very good clean nuclear energy. It doesn't produce any nuclear weapons, so they can export it to countries like Iran and things like that without worrying about them using it for bombs and things like that. So it's really good way of doing this actually. I also want to go through this article with you, all of the pros and cons of using a thorium reactor. And so you can see here, number one main reason, it eliminates the threat of nuclear weapons. You can't create nuclear weapons with this technology, which is really good, which means they can send this technology out to a lot of BRI countries and a lot of poor countries without worrying about them getting nuclear weapons. So it's a very good export way of making money really, and also to help their BRI partners. It comes from plentiful supply. So thorium is believed to be 3 times more available than uranium, which is very good news because uranium is running short at the moment, and uranium is only produced in only a few countries. So China does have a dependency on uranium, and obviously with countries like US and Europe hogging most of the uranium around the world, so there is a bit of a problem there. So one of the main reasons to go to thorium is to have that diversity with the nuclear program. So you don't need to focus just on uranium. You can just use thorium as well. So it's a good way of diversifying their uranium and not focus on one raw material. They can focus on various different types. It's a technology that can be mass produced. So the good news is China's also invented a modular reactor, which means you can mass produce it module by module. So the startup cost for these modules is very low, and depending on how big you want your nuclear station to be, so you can, over time you can add more and more reactors, mobile reactors, and it's very easy to construct without having to put too much cost in it. And China is at the moment leading the modular reactors program, so that's a very good way of also saving money for them. Eliminates the threat of nuclear waste. So one of the benefits is it produces less nuclear waste than uranium, and a lot of the nuclear waste can be recycled with the thorium reactors as well. So which is really good news. And also with thorium waste, it's estimated time is only 300 years, while uranium you're looking at hundreds and thousands of years. So that's a big problem where to store uranium. But with thorium it's only 300 years, so which is very good news in terms of storage. It produces high levels of energy, and as you know, it's just as good as uranium. It produces efficiency levels as high as 98%, and with current nuclear technologies it can achieve a efficiency rate of 5% with its fuel. That means thorium energy has potential to produce more energy than any current fossil fuel based option, which is really good. So earlier they get out of using fossil fuels, the better for China. It eliminates the safety concerns of traditional nuclear power. As I said, it doesn't need to be near the sea, doesn't need water to cool it down. So it's very safe. If there's any leaks and stuff, what happens is it turns into solid rather than leaking out into the atmosphere and things like that. As you can see, at the same time, thorium reactors operate at standard atmospheric pressures, eliminate the need to have it pressurized water. That reduces the risk of steam-based incidents. The fuel for molten salt reactors already liquid form as well. The threat of meltdown emergency is eliminated. So it's very safe, safer than the current nuclear uses. It offers the potential to reduce war and eliminate poverty. So as you know, having these cheap nuclear stuff given to third-party worlds and poor worlds, basically it saves the planet because you're giving them the chance to make energy without using fossil fuels and things like that. As you can see here, it produces clean energy for every person, community in our planet. Increases resource access, poverty can be reduced, security threats can be reduced because you can't create nuclear weapons, as there will be greater chance for peace. Thorium could even be created through the incineration of weapon-grade plutonium that is currently installed on warheads. So it's very, very good, as you can see, because loads of benefits for it. Storage costs for spent fuel would be reduced. As you know, the storage is not as much required as uranium. Waste from a thorium reactor would be 1,000 times less comparable than uranium-based technologies that are currently in use. So you can see the huge benefits in storage costs. It's a very high efficient technology compared to fossil power generation. As you know, fossil power is very bad for the environment. Thorium is a very clean way to give energy without harming the planet, which is, you know, obviously very, very good for it. Thorium is safer to mine. Thorium is much safer to mine because it's not as radioactive as uranium, so it's safer and it's more cheaper to mine, and it's more abundant around the world as well. Also, here is a list of cons of a thorium reactor, which I don't really think they are really cons really, so let's go over it. There is no current infrastructure to support thorium use. Well, there is, because this article is not about, it was created before China was creating the thorium reactor, so you know that China is right now creating this infrastructure to support thorium reactors. So they created their full supply chain way before anyone else in this world. So that's, you know, that's good news for China. So it's not really a con, really. The startup process would be very lengthy and costly. Well, not really, because China has already started with it. So if China starts this thorium reactor process and they get the technology right, they can export it and make more money. So it doesn't really matter how much it costs them to make. I think in the long run it will save them a lot of energy and save them a lot of money, and also it will reduce fossil fuels around the world, which is, you know, priceless. Not every thorium design is self-sustaining. Well, I'm not sure about that, because China is obviously working on the thorium reactor, so I'm sure they will find a self-sustaining way and try and reuse some of the waste that's been created, and also find a clean way of using thorium. So I don't think that's completely true. The fissile materials created by thorium reactor provide different dangers. Well, China is the first country in the world to produce thorium reactors now, so I'm sure they will be testing it thoroughly, and so they're going to be testing it for another 9 years. So it's coming online this year, so they're going to test it for another 9 years, and I'm sure they'll find all the issues and try and fix them and fix all the issues. It costs more. Number 5, I don't think it costs more. China is making it. If a country like America made it, would have costed more, but if China can make it and make it cost effective, it'll be good for China, it'll be good for the world. Research into thorium energy is politically restricted, which I don't think so. It says thorium research has occurred in Germany, Denmark, US and other locations, and only India and China are actively pursuing this technology. That's right, but India is pursuing it, but China is the first country to actively make it online. So that's not really a con, really. So as you can see, there's not many cons regarding thorium reactors. All I see is benefits. The cons are easily, the benefits easily outmatch the cons, really. So all I can see is benefits from using thorium. So this article talks about the uses of thorium, which I found very, very interesting. And some of the uses for thorium, it can be used on things like airplanes, ships, like, you know, aircraft carriers and submarines, because they're very modular reactors, and you can minimize them, you can maximize them based on your needs. But one of the greatest things you can do with thorium is in space. as you can see, and these are some of the best benefits you can do when you create these, when you use it for space purposes. And as you know, China has got a great space program, and it would be great for China to use something like thorium in the moon base that they are doing with Russia. So you can see all of the benefits that are coming up with it. It says it's very safe, almost unbelievably so. It's scalable. So you can set up whatever size you need, whatever spacecraft you need it for. Thorium is super plentiful. Not only is full of it in Earth, but it's also around in the moon as well. It's plentiful in the moon, as you can see. Its energy output is extremely dense, which is very good. It can be used as energy source for ship systems. It should be able to be adapted to fuel spacecraft. And there is so much thorium is enough for a person's entire lifetime needs. The thorium on the moon can essentially future power all future extralunar flights. No need to take fuel to the moon. Thorium can actually be used to power lasers and mining equipment on the moon, Mars and asteroids. And so you can use these lasers for many purposes, even military if you wanted to. And also to, obviously, one of the things of mining in the moon, there are big dangers from asteroids falling on you, so these lasers will be needed to bounce any asteroids that are coming towards the moon base, so you need to be able to protect yourself. IMHO thorium in tandem with lasers can be used to, like I said, push asteroids and steer them away from Earth. You can steer them away from Earth, or you also steer them away from the moon as well. Thorium can power lunar ore processing, ore furnaces, pretty much give as much power to the moon base as possible and help with mining. And so not only it can be helpful in space, you can also have nuclear powers planes as well, to reduce fossil fuels and oil and things like that. So it's very good. It's the endless possibilities. So I'm really happy China is the first country who is focusing on doing the thorium reactors, and I'm sure they'll be very, very successful at it. So let's get on to the next topic, shall we? So as you know, there's been a lot of news articles about China building lots of silos here and there, and Global Times have been saying that these are wind farms, but whether they are wind farms or not, silos or not, I know for a fact that China is increasing their nuclear deterrent against America. So this is the history. Let's go with the history first of all. Since the 1960s, China has maintained a no first use nuclear policy, and it did not want to go into an arms race with Russia, and did not want to go into an arms race with the USA as well. So, quick history lesson. China detonated the first atomic bomb in October 16th, 1964. And you can see from the kind of missiles they've had, from 1966, PLA basically had a DF-5 as its nuclear delivery system, a massive two-stage liquid fuel rocket, which, depending on variant, which one talking about, the warheads DF-5B or 10 warheads DF-5C, targets 12,000 kilometers from the point of launch. DF-5 based hardened concrete silos were designed to be able to survive a nuclear attack in sufficient numbers to enable China to deliver a country-killing nuclear counterstrike. So there's a few drawbacks with the DF-5. Basically, it is a liquid-fueled missile, which means you need to fuel it up, which would take hours and hours. But nowadays, with the modern technological rockets, they're mainly solid-fueled. Solid fuels mean the rocket's pretty much ready to go. It can be launched within seconds rather than waiting hours and hours to fill it with liquid. So the more modern rockets that China has got, these are the DF-31, which are deployed in 2006, and the more newer DF-41 carries 10 independently targeted nuclear warheads. So the missile technology has improved a lot with China. But this is the thing, right? China has only got 300 or so warheads, while Russia and America have got about 6,000 each. So the reason for this is basically America and Russia had been having a Cold War. So they've been building up a huge deterrence of nuclear weapons. They got all sorts of nuclear weapons. They've got lots of solid fuel, but they've also got a lot of old style liquid fueled as well. A lot of old technology, and mainly it is old technology way back from the Cold War era. We're talking about 60s, 70s, 80s, and America hasn't really updated most of them. So a lot of the 6,000 or so missiles that America has, they're very old technology, easy to shoot down or destroy or kill. The newer technology, like hypersonic stuff that China and Russia has got, there's not many warheads with those on it. So imagine a warhead on a hypersonic missile, and that means you cannot save yourself from that. I mean, that would destroy any city, any country. So that's the danger, really. So it really doesn't matter whether Russia's got 6,000 or America's got 6,000. It's basically down to the type of missiles that you have, and your defense capability as well. So this is the thing, right? America's got 6,000 missiles pointed at Russia because Russia and America had been in a Cold War, and Russia's got 6,000 or so missiles pointed not only to America but also to NATO and NATO countries as well. So that's the reason. And China and Russia, there's no issues there, so there's not a problem there. But over the years, I mean, America started hating on China for the past 4 years. So what they need to do is they need to be pointing a lot of those missiles to China, and that's no easy task to do, which means for America, Russia is still a threat. So if Russia is pointing 6,000 missiles to America and American bases, then America can't really point those to somewhere else. They need to build new missile silos and build new missiles, which is going to be a big cost to them. So imagine this, right? If China starts building brand new missile silos with the latest technology and hypersonic missiles, and puts the latest warheads in these hypersonic missiles, America wouldn't even stand a chance. So if China starts building it, and they will, because with all the talk that America's been giving for the past few years, they're talking about attacking China if there's a war in Taiwan. They're talking about blocking China with their Belt and Road. They're talking about blocking China in the Malacca Strait as well. And America's talking a lot about nuking China. So they've been talking a lot. They've been giving a lot of fake stories about Xinjiang and fake stuff about coronavirus lab leaks. They're doing the trade war. So they're being very, very aggressive. And with all the war talk that America's been giving, China is obviously looking at that, because before 4 years, China had a good relationship with America and a good relationship with Russia. So China did not require to build more bombs or nuclear bombs, because they had about 300. So there's no requirement for China to build more bombs, because they had a good relationship with Russia, a good relationship with America, a good relationship with the rest of the world. So there was no threat 4 years ago. So they kept that deterrence, that 300 missiles. But since then, America's been on China's back, and pretty aggressive, to be honest. And China has got no choice, and America, to be blamed for this. China's got no choice but to increase their nuclear deterrent, because if America's been talking about bombing China and nuking China, then China needs to be able to have some sort of deterrent and have some sort of self-defense capability, and also some offensive capability as well, to stop America from bombing China. So here's the thing, right? So China, I'm sure, is building more nuclear weapons and putting them in these hypersonic weapons and hypersonic missiles, intercontinental missiles, ballistic missiles. and their range is going to be, even better. And plus, with the latest technology that China has, with the latest satellites, I'm sure they'll be a lot more accurate as well. So here's the thing, guys. The article name is US-Sino nuclear arms race is already underway, and we know who the winner will be. So we know who the winner will be because China, with its manufacturing capacity, can create thousands and thousands of missiles with its manufacturers and factories, cheap labor. If America wants to do the same, it's going to be much more expensive. So think about it, guys. America has to point 6,000 missiles to Russia. Then America's got to have to point another 6,000 to China. So that's 12,000 missiles. And America can't increase its missiles because it's already signed a pact with Russia. So if America starts increasing its missile number, then Russia's going to do the same. So it's never ending, and America's going to have to pay double what every other country is paying. So America's going to have to pay, if Russia starts building, if America starts building another 6,000, that's 12,000 missiles. Russia's going to have 12,000, and China, with its manufacturing capacity and factory cheap labor, they can easily create another 6,000, 12,000 easily. They can easily outspend USA. And USA will always lose. No matter how they look at this, they will always lose, always. So you can see how America is starting an arms race. It will never ever win, because with China's capacity, hypersonic missiles, latest technology, satellites, and the fact that China is able to create lots of missiles in such a short space of time with cheap labor, America will not be able to match China, no way. And if it can match China, then it's got to worry about Russia as well. So what's it going to do about Russia? Because Russia has already signed a pact, and if America gets out of the pact, no country is going to trust America. Maybe what's the point signing a pact when you get out of it 6 or 10 years later? So Russia's going to build more missiles if America leaves the pact, and other countries will follow suit as well. They think, oh, America's left the pact, so we might as well have our own nuclear deterrent. And it's just going to create a huge arms race. So it's a race that America's not going to win. And America put itself in this situation, and it's its own fault, to be honest. With all this rhetoric that it's been doing past few years, it's put itself in this situation, and it's America's own fault. They've got no one else to blame but themselves. 4 years ago, things were very good with China. They had good relationships. It was only with trade that was an issue, but since then, it's gone to a whole new level with concentration camps and lab leaks and genocide claims and all sorts of issues, and they're holding Meg against their wishes, and they're putting Huawei and other companies into a blacklist. It just goes on and on. America's trying its best to decouple with China, but in the long run, it's just going to fail. So let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you think about China's thorium reactor, and also what you think about the future of nuclear weapons between China, America and Russia. So I'll see you guys on the next video, and don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And if you really like the video, don't forget to join my Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. Until the next video, I'll see you soon. Bye.